Good afternoon, this is Brian. Today is Monday, March 20th, 2023, and I'm here at Dictionary Hill Open Space Park here in Spring Valley in southern San Diego County. Today, it is time for my next Spotlight on Plants video. So today's spotlight is on this magnificent plant right here. Look at this beautiful plant. This is western blue-eyed grass. It is Sisyrinchium bellum. It is a perennial herbaceous plant in the iris family, the Iridaceae. So what we have here is we're going to look at a couple of aspects of the name. I'm not sure what Sisyrinchium means, but bellum refers to more of a slang Latin word for fine or beautiful or pretty. The word bellum means multiple things in Latin. One word for bellum means war, but another word, bellum, comes from bellus, which means fine or cool or nice, pretty or beautiful. Kind of where the Spanish word bella and Italian bello come from. So that is a very descriptive epithet for this plant, Sisyrinchium bellum. So what we have here, again, is a perennial monocot herbaceous plant in the iris family. So what we have here is the blue eye refers to the relatively bluish flowers, bluish, more like a purplish blue, and the word grass refers to the grass-like habit of the plants that look like a patch of tall grass because the leaves are very grass-like. So before this plant blooms, it could very well be mistaken for a grass. And even people like me who've seen this plant on a few occasions might overlook it when it's not in bloom. But when it blooms, it is spectacular. Beautiful perennial plant here. And according to James Leitner's San Diego County Native Plants, it spreads by rhizomes. And rhizomes meaning roots underground that run, and the plants will pop up from roots. So you'll get clumps of plants. I'm not sure if they form bulbs. I will look a little bit more into that, and I will paste the text on the screen with that regard. But let's just take some time to appreciate this beautiful Southern California native, which is found from the coast up to the mountains. And springtime is the greatest time to appreciate this plant. Here's one that does not have any flowers on it yet. This is a smaller plant right here. And here's a younger plant that is starting to bloom right now. And these older clumps right here, they're just spectacular. So, being that it's a monocot, the seedling leaf, and I said seedling leaf because quite a few of the plants that we have here are eudicots. And the word, we'll take the word "u" out, EU, and then dicot means basically dicot, eudicot, which means two seedling leaves. A eudicot is a plant that has two seedling leaves. They used to just be called dicots back in the day. But now we separate eudicots and magnoliids, which are two different types of plants, two different sets of plants. The magnoliids being a little more primitive. And one example of magnolia that you will find here, actually two, is California bay laurel, the large shrub, small to sometimes large tree in the laurel family, the Irisaceae, so that's a magnoliid. And the other plant, the yerba mansa, Anamopsis californica, which is also a magnoliid. They're a little bit more primitive than the eudicots. But those plants, magnoliids and eudicots, have two seedling leaves. However, monocots have one seedling leaf per germination. So the iris family, the Iridaceae, is a group of monocots. The palm family, the Irisaceae, with the big palms that you see growing here in San Diego County, and the grasses are monocots. The true grasses, they're also monocots. Lilies are monocots. Daffodils are monocots. iris family plants, monocots. So this plant will have one seedling leaf per germination. And a lot of times what will happen is you'll see one strappy leaf germinate above the soil. That's a lot of times what you'll see when a monocot germinates. And again, this is a monocot. And another thing that monocots exhibit a lot of times, and it's not just monocots, I don't believe, but sheathing leaves. As you see here, these leaves are sheathed at the base as a clasp to the stem. And the leaves here are these really narrow, grass-like, strappy leaves, which is pretty common in monocots. Obviously, palms and a lot of those plants, like palms, have many different forms of leaves, like fan-shaped leaves, feather-shaped leaves. But when they germinate, they come up with a little strappy-shaped single leaf coming above the soil. So, and that's how monocots usually germinate when you see them first coming up from seed. So this is a monocot, and so let's take some time to appreciate the flowers. And the flowers are also sometimes a good way to tell whether it's a monocot or a eudicot. A lot of monocots have their flowers in petals in divisions of 3, or should I say multiples of 3. So some will have 3 petals, like some of the palm tree flowers have 3 petals. These have 6 petals. That's not always the way to tell if it's in multiples of 3, but a lot of the monocots generally have their flowers in multiples of 3. That's just a characteristic of monocot flowers. So it's a very pretty plant. Mid to late winter here in the lower elevations, and spring to like mid-spring up to May when you go a little bit higher up in the mountains. Maybe June at the highest elevations where this plant grows, I would assume, because spring comes a lot later to the higher elevation mountains, obviously. But yeah, these beautiful purple petals, absolutely strikingly beautiful, bluish purple, and then you get the little yellow anthers rising up above. So there's a yellow throat inside the flower at where the petals meet, and then you get the little anthers that stick up above. So the anthers are superior and the ovary is down below. So it's a very beautiful plant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple up close still pictures of it so you can get a look at this plant and get an appreciation for it in still life. Probably easier to look at without me moving around the camera. So let's go take some pictures here. Let's talk a little bit about the habitat of Sisyrinchium bellum, the western blue-eyed grass. So what we have here is quite an open, sparsely populated coastal sage scrub with lots of likely some natives and invasive grasses. So they kind of like these open grassy spots. Meadows, mountain meadows are a good place to find this plant. One good place in Orange County to find that plant, and I've seen it, is over by Blue Jay Campground. There's between Blue Jay Campground and Falcon Group Campground off of Long Canyon Road, off of Ortega Highway, there's a place called Los Pinos Potrero, which is a series of small, medium-sized meadows separated by low hills and pockets of coast live oak and coulter pine. And in the grassy areas, you will find these plants growing there pretty well too. I'm pretty sure they're going to be blooming a little bit later than it is now because it's a little bit cooler up there. A little bit cooler, so a little bit later. I've seen them blooming in May, so early May is a good time to go up to Los Pinos Potrero and find this plant. So in a place where it's grassy hillsides, especially ones with clay soils, harder soils, but they love grass. They love grassy slopes. I believe they prefer north-facing slopes, but places like this, grassy, open places, is where you'll be more likely to find this plant. So when you find this plant, take time to savor how absolutely beautiful they are. I love the bluish green leaves. And if you look at the tips of some of the leaves, kind of have a little bit of purple splotched towards the tip. You see the tip of these leaves, a little bit of purple there. So I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure what causes that, but it is very, very cool to look at. So there you have it, blue-eyed grass. One of our awesome wildflowers here. As you know, as we're going into wildflower season, or we're actually really into it now, I'm going to be probably taking a lot more time to spotlight more of the herbaceous plants that have these brilliant, beautiful flowers. So here at Dictionary Hill Open Space Preserve, I'm underneath the water tower, which is underneath the peak of Dictionary Hill. So if you take this trail down, you'll find some pretty good pockets of it as we go up from about there down to here. There's quite a bit of blue-eyed grass here, so come out now while they're blooming and enjoy the festive display. Right here from Dictionary Hill Open Space here in beautiful San Diego County. As usual, I will post the range of this plant. I will have posted the range of this plant somewhere in this video, so be on the lookout for that. And come out here and check it out for yourself. A beautiful plant, and it's definitely worth the trip to come out here. It's not a really rare plant either, so if you find some pretty grassy open areas and it's not overly taken over by too many invasive weeds, like if there's a pretty good element of native plants like broombaccaris, California sagebrush, coastal California buckwheat, and other plants, there's a good chance you're going to find this plant. So take time to appreciate it. Sisyrinchium bellum, right here from beautiful San Diego County. Thanks for watching my spotlight. I hope you found it informative in identifying yet another piece of the awesome botanical puzzle that is Southern California. I will see you on another episode. Thanks for watching.